Welcome to Shakey's podcast. Thanks for joining us. Great guests lined up for you today to preview what is now going to be a mouth-watering third test match in the decider between Pakistan and England out in Pakistan, where Pakistan just levelled the series a couple of days back, and to the surprise of many cricket fans, to be honest. But they did. It's 1-1, and now they go to Pindi for the decider. And who better to preview the huge match than none other than Saj Sadiq, cricket of passion, of Wisden and Sky Sports. I say hello and assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Kasim. Thank you very much for the introduction and the invite today.
It's a pleasure to have you. Okay, so we're going into this third test match. Did you think we would be going into this third test match with both teams level?
Well, I think after the debacle of the first test match, Kasim, I thought it was going to be 3-0 to England. It's only some, I would say, last-minute, quick thinking, a change of plan, and a change of focus from the Pakistan hierarchy, the selectors, and the team captain and management that were in this position where it's 1-1. I mean, they had to do something after that first test match, and I think all the plans were that there was going to be a fresh wicket and that they'd take England on. But I think they realised for the betterment of Pakistan cricket that they had to take a dramatic U-turn, change the plan, change the focus, and try something different, and it worked.
It certainly did. Now, I have to pick your brains on this. It seems like it's just a hot topic question, and I can't not ask you. Would you have dropped Babar Azam the way they dropped him?
I was surprised they dropped Babar Azam. I'm pretty sure that Shan Masood and Jason Gillespie wanted to pick Babar Azam. I'm not so sure about Naseem Shah because I'm led to believe that he's got some fitness issues, but I'm pretty confident that they wanted to pick Shaheen Shah Afridi and Babar Azam for that second test match. However, Shan Masood and Jason Gillespie are not selectors at the moment, which is quite surprising for other countries because predominantly in other countries, the captain and coach, well, the head coach are on the selection committee. But in Pakistan cricket at the moment, they're not amongst the selectors, so they don't have the final say. They can provide input to the selectors, but the final say and the final decision is with those selectors. I think the selectors have seen Babar Azam's batting recently. They've seen what's gone on. Quite obviously been a bit of a roller coaster ride for him in all formats. He's been badly out of form. He doesn't look 100% fit to me. He doesn't look as trim as he has done in the past. I think when you're not making runs, then people start looking at these little things. Technically, he doesn't look as sound. I think in the long run, it's probably a good thing that they dropped him. I was amongst those that thought, I was very surprised that they had the courage to drop him because you know what it's like in Pakistan cricket when you're a big name player, when you're a former captain, you've got a lot of supporters, he's got a big fan base. They're reluctant to drop those big names and upset the apple cart. But that's exactly what they did. And, kudos to them that it worked ultimately.
Completely agree with you. The hierarchy in Pakistani cricket, the senior players, they never lose their spot, really. And there's a lot of political interest to go on, little groups and whatnot over the years in Pakistani cricket. I personally think, I love Babar. I'm sure you do as well. Fantastic player. But I think he looked mentally and physically like he wasn't at the races. And sometimes the great even Virat Kohli, he had to have a little breakaway as well. And I think bringing some new talent and bleeding some new talent in might help Pakistan in the long run, might help Babar in the long run as well. So we wish him well, I'm sure, and we hope to see him back. But yeah, it was very bold. And they left out Shaheen Shah Afridi, and you mentioned Naseem Shah, and it paid off. Going into this third test match, how are you seeing, how do you think they're going to go? Are they likely to prepare a spin-friendly wicket at Pindi? Although it's very flat at Pindi, it tends to be very flat. How do you think they're going to go? And what do you think the makeup of the squad is like? To be heavy spin again? Or are we looking at more seamers back into the mix?
I think addressing that second point that you made regarding the starting 11, I think they'll make one change. I think the batting lineup will be the same. I think Zaid Mahmood might be the spinner that gives way. Obviously, you can't drop Sajid Khan and Norman Ali after their fantastic performance albeit on a very favourable pitch for spinners. I think Zaid Mahmood didn't bowl many overs. At Rawalpindi, you probably don't need all those spinners. You've got Salman Ali Agra who can bowl a few overs of spin. Even Simon Ayub can turn his arm over if they really need him to. So I think they'll go in with the two spinners and they'll go in with two pacers. So Amar Jamal, if he's fit, I know he's had some fitness issues when he was playing county cricket here at Warwickshire, or supposed to be playing county cricket at Warwickshire this year. And obviously in that last test match, he seemed to be troubled by injury. But if he's fit, I think he'll play because he gives them a bit of a batting flexibility as well. He's no mug with the bat. He's certainly not a tail ender. Whether he's a top level all rounder yet, that's yet to be verified. Obviously did very well in Australia out there with the bat as well. So yeah, I think they'll go two pacers, two spinners with the backup bowlers to support them. Whether it's a spin-friendly pitch or not, I don't think it will be, because I've spoken with a few guys who are very familiar with the Rawalpindi wicket, and we've seen over the years it's not really your rank turner that we saw in Multan. I think for Pakistan to win this test match, they're going to have to work a lot harder, because basically, and I don't want to sound too critical of them, but a lot hinged in that second test match on the toss, which fortunately for Pakistan, they won the toss, they batted first, they put runs on the board, they had the spin options, the pitch took spin, but Rawalpindi is going to be a totally different kettle of fish. I know they're trying to get it to be a low, slow turning pitch, very dry. They're trying some unconventional ideas as well to get that pitch prepared, but it's going to be a fresh pitch. And as I say, Rawalpindi usually is fantastic for batters.
So interesting to hear you say. So again, two spinners likely, a backup spinner, a couple of seamers, maybe a couple of backup spin options. However, it sounds like with the ball not turning as much, it's going to require a lot more overs from the seamers, most likely. If Amar Jamal has a niggle, who would be your first pick, and who else do you think could fill the shoes of the seamers?
Well, the problem Pakistan has at the moment, and they've had for a number of years now, are the fitness levels of these pace bowlers. Whoever seems to come in and do well, they get injured. And unfortunately, too many of our pace, when I say the Pakistani pace bowlers, are playing league cricket. They're not really playing first-class cricket in Pakistan. They're playing T20 franchises around the world. They're playing a bit of T20 Blast and, Big Bash and BPL and wherever even like Canada and other places as well. Wherever they can earn those dollars or whatever, they're going out there. They're making themselves available. And it's almost like first-class cricket for these guys, most of the Pakistani international players. It's like a second or third option. I think the Pakistan Cricket Board are trying to look at that by limit the NOCs. But even by limiting the number of NOCs, those Pakistani international players, the current players, are not making themselves available for first-class cricket. You only have to look at some of the records of these guys who are currently in the Pakistan Test team and see when they last actually played in the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. And not many of them do, which is really disappointing. I get that there's international cricket going on all year round. There's, a lot of scheduling problems, but these guys need to be playing more first-class cricket. Now, coming back to your point about the pacers, this is what I'm saying. A lot of the pacers aren't used to playing bowling 30 overs, 40 overs in a match, which, in bygone eras, the Pakistani pacers all were comfortable with doing. I think in terms of options, will they go back to Shaheen? Will they go back to Naseem? I doubt it. I'd be very surprised if they do. Out the two of them, you're probably looking at Shaheen as a possibility. But, my first choice would be, out of all of the guys who are available, the pace bowlers, if Amar Jamal is fit, then you go with Mir Hamza.
That's the guy I would pick. So I've got to say, I was hoping you were going to say that. This guy why do they not pick him? He's shown he's capable of bowling long sets.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. Look at his first-class stats. Look at the number of matches he plays. has played throughout his career. He's got good numbers, a lot of wickets, a lot of experience. He's played in county cricket as well. So, and he's familiar with those conditions as well. And, I mean, he's somebody who I'm very surprised hasn't played more for Pakistan. The likes of Shaheen, if you look at his pace has dropped. You've got to question his fitness levels. I like Shaheen. He's a fantastic cricketer. He's a wholehearted cricketer. But at the end of the day, it's all about performance. And both he and Naseem don't seem to be 100% fit to me. They don't seem to be on top of their game. And a team like England will just take advantage of any weaknesses. So I'd go with Mir Hamza and Amir Jamal as my two pace bowling options, backed up by the two spinners who did well in the second test.
I share your views. I got excited about Mir Hamza when he bowled in Australia. He got stuck into the Australians' early doors, swinging the ball back in. It was lovely to see. We've seen many Pakistani bowlers do that over the years. Shaheen did do it initially, but I think he needs to go back and bowl some overs in first-class cricket. You've really touched on that element, and that seems to be the biggest issue in Pakistani cricket, with the batting sometimes as well, that these guys are doing well in T20 cricket. It's not preparing you for playing Test cricket. And the Guy Diazam trophy in the history has produced so many top batters and bowlers who can bowl all day, reverse swing the ball as well, and batters who can bat all day. And it seems like that is the grey area right now. And there has to be more focus put on the domestic structure, because that's where your talent comes. But you touched on all these leagues, and it seems like, that takes precedent now. And that's what I think is the issue with Test cricket just now, that you're not getting your best players on the pitch always.
Absolutely. And you only have to look back 10, 15 years ago, and Pakistani domestic teams in 4-day cricket, they were very, very competitive. You had like international class teams. You had 7 or 8 guys in each team who played international cricket. You had 2 or 3 good pace bowlers in every Pakistani team. You had, 3, 4 solid batters at the top of the order. So it was high quality competitive cricket. And I'm afraid these days, as I was saying, and you mentioned it as well, that a lot of the current Pakistani international players, let me give you the example of Shadab Khan there. When was the last time he actually played first-class cricket?
I don't know. I don't know.
The thing is, he hasn't played first-class cricket for a long time. I don't know the exact date, but we keep hearing that he wants to play first-class cricket. Now, these guys, the likes of Shadab Khan, and I don't want to pick on him because Shadab's a wholehearted cricketer. He gives 100% every time, but he's somebody who's declined in recent times. One of the main reasons why he has declined is because he's not bowling long spells. What he's got used to is bowling 2, 3, 4 overs an innings every couple of days in T20 Blast or the BBL or some other Mickey Mouse league around the world. And what he's not bowling are your 50, 60 overs in a first-class match, to work on his varieties, to work on his fitness, to work on how to work batters out. Instead, what he's used to is easy wickets. So players coming down the track, trying to blast him for 6, hit it up in the air, get caught out, or batters coming down the track, not reading him, and they get stumped. And, at the end of the day, T20 cricket, fair enough, that's fine. Yeah, you want to make a lot of money, but ultimately what happens is that if they're not playing first-class cricket, that then has a knock-on effect to their performances in T20 cricket. And a number of these guys, unfortunately, are that focused on just playing the shorter formats that they've put the first-class cricket, red ball cricket, on the back burner, and then when they have to be picked for Test cricket, they're found out.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree 100%. We've touched on the bowling quite a bit, but let's go into the batting straight off that conversation, because a perfect example of that is a man who's just come in as a debutant in the last Test match, Kamran Ghulam, scored 118 in the first innings. There's a perfect example of a guy who's been playing first-class cricket and scoring runs in first-class cricket, from my understanding, and he was ready for that opportunity, has been doing it. I think he should have been picked a long time ago, but he's obviously had to wait his turn, got it because they've left Babar out, and there's your example of if the preparation is put in, how well you can perform in Test cricket.
Exactly. I mean, there's countless examples of Pakistani batters over the years who've been performing year on year. People are saying, why aren't these guys getting a chance? But they keep picking those same players for whatever reason. And even if they're struggling, even if they're not 100% fit, those guys keep on getting selected. We can go back to Fawad Alam. I mean, there is somebody who's averaging nearly 50 in first class cricket for all those years. And he had a fantastic start to his international career, and then he wasn't picked for so many years. Which other country would do that? Waste such a talent that, and when he came back, he did really well again in international cricket, despite not having played for many years. A talent wasted. Another one is Usman Salahuddin, the Lahore right-handed batsman, another fantastic domestic performer who's broken so many records year on year. And they gave him, I think, one test match at Headingley against England. Did really well, and they never picked him again. And even out in the current team, Saj Sadiq, he's another one who I remember seeing for Pakistan under 19s and Pakistan A, doing really well, season after season, scoring runs, big hundreds. And they've only just recently realised, oh, hang on, this guy's good enough for international cricket. We should pick him. Likewise, Kamran Ghulam. I mean, I remember seeing Kamran Ghulam for, I think it was Pakistan under 19s or the Pakistan A team touring here in England, and he looked a fantastic batter, and that's like obviously 9 or 10 years ago. And he's been consistent season after season, and they've just ignored him. And now he's approaching 30, and they finally realise, oh, hang on, I think we should give him a chance. This is typical Pakistan cricket. They waste talent, they waste good players, and only pick them when they're in real trouble.
So Sajid bhai, I know the system I think needs changed from the top, so that filters through. But this waste of talent element is becoming like unforgivable. Like I played Qaid Azam Trophy in 2007 in Pakistan. And you're right, every game I played, Wabda, Sui Gas, 7 international level players. I don't think if you went and played in the Qaid Azam Trophy now, you would see that level of player playing. The standard is declining because all the best players are focused on going and doing other things. So England, for instance, they understand they've got maybe bigger budget, whatever you want to say, but when they don't want their players to go, they tell them you can't go play in that league, and you need to focus on playing for England if you want to play for England. But in Pakistan, doesn't seem to be the case. And when do we get people that come in and say, listen, don't care who you are, don't care your background, don't care what you've done in the past. We are picking the best squad based on the best talent we have in this country, and we're going to scarify it all and look at everything. When are we going to see that? Because if we did, I truly believe the 11, 13, 14 guys that would get picked consistently on performances could be phenomenal, but it's never really happened in Pakistani cricket.
I think first and foremost, you've got to make sure that your players are playing 4-day cricket in Pakistan. Look, I understand the likes of Imad Wasim, Mohammad Amir, they've made themselves unavailable for red ball cricket. They just want to play white ball cricket. They're not available for the Pakistan Test team. I get that. You're going to get those sorts of players everywhere. The likes of Alex Hales in England. You've got other players all around the world, in New Zealand, etc., who are only focusing on white ball cricket. But those that are still available for the Pakistan Test team, they have to play first class cricket. They shouldn't get the option. It shouldn't be, oh, yeah, I've got a bad back, I can't play this match. Next match comes along, oh yeah, my shoulder hurts. We keep hearing these excuses of when these guys are not playing international cricket, they're not playing first class cricket. That's got to go out the window. You've got to have a situation where only those players should be available for the Pakistan Test team who are playing first class cricket in Pakistan. And secondly, the selectors have to have more of a backbone. I commend the selectors for dropping 3 big name players, as we discussed before. That's almost unheard of in Pakistan cricket, as you said. I think the selectors and the scouts, there's got to be a better scouting system in Pakistan. Like the ECB have scouts, they go and see players. They don't just look at the number of runs the players have scored. They look at their quality. What are they like against spin? What are they like against pace bowling? Their fitness levels. They look at them all round as a person and as a cricketer, and they make sure that those guys play first-class cricket. Let me give you the example of Harry Brook. People think Harry Brook just walked into the England Test team. No, he didn't. He played a lot of first-class cricket, and that quality is now shining through. And we're seeing what a fantastic cricketer he is. You know, we saw that at Multan just the other day. And you know, these players, same in India, you know, these guys don't just become good Test cricketers by luck or suddenly. It's because they've played a lot of first-class cricket. They've done the hard yards in their domestic cricket, in the first-class structure, and they've developed as cricketers. They've proved themselves, and that's why they find the gap between domestic cricket and international cricket one that they can bridge. Whereas Pakistani cricketers too often, because they've not played that much first-class cricket and they've not been exposed to playing against the best players, that's why they struggle with that gap sometimes.
The mentality as well has got to change. I played club cricket over in Australia, and I played club cricket down south in England as well. And you see often big players will just cut. They want to play. They'll play any game. But I mean, Joe Root, I know it's an extreme example, but a guy of his stature going to finish with potentially more Test runs possibly than Sachin Tendulkar. Who knows if he'll get there? Let's see. But if he's available, will come back and play a first-class game for Yorkshire. You don't see that so much in Pakistan now. Once you're a kind of big fish, I think it's like, you know, we're big fish now. We don't need to do that. And I think that's got to be, you know, go out the window. First-class cricket needs to be back at the forefront of Pakistani cricket. And if you make a good first-class structure, it will benefit your one-day cricket and your T20 cricket. You can work in those areas, but we've gone a bit too much to the T20, and I think that's what's making Pakistan has not handled all the formats well, and Test cricket has definitely suffered in the process. My next question, Sajid Bhai, is because we could go on about this kind of stuff for a couple of hours. I can't keep you that long. I'm going to say the top. I'm going to ask you the Pakistani top 7, and the reason I'm asking the top 7 is because Aga has been batting at 7 now. It's working nicely, but how would you line that top 7 up for the next Test?
I don't think I'd change the top 7. I think Abdullah Shafiq needs runs. There's some technical issues that are pretty obvious regarding his batting, you know, about him, his head position going too far over across onto the offside. It's something that he needs to really address with his coaches, with his mentors. I think that's a weakness in his game. But we know he's a class batter. He's been struggling this year. His average compared to other years is much lower this year. Sam Ayub, I'm yet to be convinced by him in Test cricket. I think he's a fantastic young batter. He's somebody who I think one day will become a very good Test batter, but he just needs to look at his shot selection at times. He's playing Test cricket like T20 cricket. Now, I know England players do that, but they are accustomed to doing that, and it's the way they are coached to play. Now, with Sam Ayub, I'm not sure whether he's caught in two minds as to whether he should be attacking or defending, but I think he's got quality there. I wouldn't change the top 2. Shan Masood, you know, obviously he made that 100. We know he's capable of scoring runs. He's obviously got that added pressure of captaincy, which affects anybody. I think Pakistan Test captaincy or captaincy in any format in Pakistan is one of the toughest jobs, not only in cricket, but in sport. So he's got that added burden. Obviously, he wants to bat at number 3, and as skipper, he'll stay there for now. And then Kamran Ghulam obviously came in, got the 100. I wouldn't change him. And then, you know, I mean, the other 3, yeah, you could sort of like rotate them a little bit. I think Saud at 5 gives you that added flexibility of the lefty. And then
I would go Aga. At 6 and Rizwan at 7.
Yeah, possibly. I think that's something that they're probably looking at. I think the only thing is Aga seems to bat well with the lower order.
Yeah.
He somehow
Labelled himself a number 7 now.
Yeah, he scrapes runs with them, even whether it's number 9, 10, or 11. You know, he managed to stick around. He manages to maneuver runs, and I think he quite enjoys that challenge of batting with the lower order and getting some important runs. So whether they'll change Rizwan and Aga, I'm not so sure, but I think they'll probably go with that same top seven at least for the next Test match.
Yeah, I think they probably will do that, considering it's just what. Just a quick. I want to pick your brain quickly on this. Somebody of your knowledge. I really like the look of Salman Ali Aga. Do you think he's a potential future captain for Pakistan?
I think so. I was just thinking about that after the last Test match because he was offering a bit of advice to Shan. I mean, Mohammad Rizwan is the main one who's offering advice. He's helping with the field settings and things like that. But I noticed Salman now is sort of feeling a little bit more confident. What it's like with this junior, senior hierarchy in Pakistan cricket. Sometimes these young guys come in, newer players, a little bit scared to speak because you've got senior players who've been around a number of years. But I think he's maturing now as a cricketer. He's maturing within that sort of the team hierarchy as well. And he's an intelligent cricketer. He's an intelligent guy. He's been playing for a number of years. And I think he's proved a lot of people wrong because when they picked him for the Test side, a lot of people were thinking, well, this guy's not good enough to play Test cricket. But they saw him as a white ball cricketer only. But he's proved a lot of people wrong. And look at his average; it's sort of like high 40s already in Test cricket, and he's got a number of hundreds, number of 50s already. So he's been a fantastic addition and very good fielder as well.
And he gives you a little bit with the ball as well. You need some overs. Yeah, he looks like a really smart cricketer to me. That's why I wanted to pick your brains on it, because I just like the look of him, how he carries himself. And to score those type of runs with the lower order takes a cricket brain. It doesn't take somebody who just swashbuckles and swings the bat. Sometimes that will come off, but it's the consistency he's able to do it. He's clearly got a mature head on his shoulders. So one to keep an eye on. So we've talked about the team. Just a quick discussion on how do you think England will go? Do you think how many spin options do you think they're going to go in with? And do you think they're going to go batter heavy? Maybe, yeah, or how do you see the makeup?
I think in terms of approach, I don't think they'll change. They only know one way, and it's we know about Bazball. I know it's a phrase that like Brendan McCullum doesn't like, but we know that they'll come hard at Pakistan, especially at Bindi, where it's going to be a different type of surface to Multan. Whether they make any changes, I don't think they'll make any changes to their batting lineup. I think they might swap some of the paces around. Maybe Atkinson come back in, although Cast did very well, I thought. I think Shoaib Bashir, his place might be under threat. I know he took a few wickets, but I just thought he could have bowled a little bit better in spin-friendly conditions in that second Test. So whether they bring in Rehan Ahmed for one Test match or they might go for an extra pacer, depending on how they read the pitch. I think if England make any changes, it could be a couple of changes in the bowling lineup rather than the batting, because I think the batting is fairly settled, and they're obviously not going to change the wicketkeeper as well.
That brings me to my final question. Sajid Bhai, what is your prediction for the third and final Test between England and Pakistan? What's your views?
That's the toughest question that you've asked me today. You know what? With Pakistan, I know it's a cliche, and many people have said this, but you just don't know which Pakistan's going to turn up. I'm hoping that after that victory in the second Test match, there'll be a little bit more confidence in the side, and they'll have more self-belief. And the players should be buoyed by that win. That, look, we can compete against England. You've got two confident spinners. I think it all depends on the pitch. If the pitch offers spin, Pakistan will win because home conditions. And if they win the toss, so there's two ifs there for Pakistan. That's one, the toss, bat first, and second being the nature of the pitch. However, if the pitch is batting friendly or seamer friendly, then I've got to go with England. So I know I've sat on the fence there, but yeah, I think it all depends on the nature of the pitch. Spin friendly, Pakistan. Flat or seem friendly, then you've got to fancy England.
Been a pleasure having you on the podcast and hearing your insights on Pakistani cricket. I mean, we're talking about 25, 30 years of covering Pakistani cricket and cricket in general, so you can hear it when you're talking about it. So thanks again for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, Kasim. Thank you very much.